Tonight, travel a world away to Hungary. Discover the romantic kingdom on the Danube as Eastern Europe comes alive with freedom. From the twin cities of Buda and Pest, where ruins of the Roman Empire still stand, to Castle Hill with its glorious Gothic cathedrals. Sophisticated urban squares and charming old-world shops. There's food and wine and a countryside that is picture-perfect, waiting to be uncovered. As the Discovery Channel takes you a world away to Hungary. And now, for the Discovery Channel, Nancy Glass.
Welcome to A World Away. Tonight, we'll visit Hungary, Eastern Europe's first country to break through the Iron Curtain. Glasnost isn't new here. Hungary has always been a leader of Eastern European reform, and its capital is used to dealing with Western tourists and business travelers. Until recently, though, few could have imagined the changes that would take place. In the spring of 1990, free multi-party elections were held, and Hungary adopted a parliamentary system. The center of Hungarian change is its beautiful and historic capital city. Without a doubt, Budapest ranks as one of the world's most magnificent cities. To Westerners, it evokes the beauty, nobility, and joie de vivre of Paris. Here, old-world charm, elegance, and grandeur blend gracefully with commercial vitality. Today, Budapest radiates a sense of well-being, but for centuries it endured cycles of devastation followed by rebuilding. In 1241, a Mongol invasion left the city in ruins. 3 centuries later, the Turks' 150-year occupation left much of the city ravaged. But the most severe destruction occurred during World War II, when both the Germans and the Allies bombed the city. 64% of Budapest was damaged by the onslaught. Amazingly, the city's wounds from war and invasion are barely evident today. In Paris, it's the Seine. In London, the Thames. And in Budapest, the city's vital artery is the Danube. The city straddles what can only be described as one of the world's most glorious rivers. Flowing majestically through 8 countries and past some of Europe's premier cities, including Vienna and Belgrade, it's the continent's longest river. The Danube carries a deep historic imprint, for this river once divided 3 distinct cities: Pest on the left bank, Buda on the right, and Óbuda, the northern part of Buda. It wasn't until 1873 that the 3 towns united to form the city we know today as Budapest. The chain bridge, completed in 1849, joins the 2 distinct worlds of Buda and Pest. In fact, it was the first chain bridge in Europe. But even more important, it represented the beginning of the end of the privileged life for the Hungarian nobility. Everyone, count and cobbler alike, was required to pay a toll. Today, 9 graceful bridges symbolize the permanent union of the city's 2 halves. Buda, with its hills and narrow twisting streets, is the ancient soul of the city, and the heart of Buda is the Castle Hill district. It rests on a long, slender plateau, commanding spectacular views above the river and cityscape. One of the great pleasures of a visit to Budapest is simply to wander inside Buda's labyrinth of cobblestone lanes. At times, you can almost hear the echoes of the aristocrats and artisans, commoners and churchmen of long ago. After the devastation of Buda in the Second World War, the district became a marvel of meticulous historic restoration. In the Budapest Hilton, here in the heart of Buda, a Baroque facade, the remains of a 13th century Dominican monastery, and portions of a 17th century Jesuit college were all ingeniously incorporated into the modern structure. Ironically, its eclectic design does not seem particularly strange, but quite normal in this most unusual of neighborhoods. The hotel's sleek glass facade forms a giant mirror for another of Castle Hill's landmarks, the Fisherman's Bastion. Looming on the eastern edge of the hill, it appears to be a medieval fort or an ancient castle. But a closer look at the unblemished masonry of this magnificent building reveals its relatively recent construction in the early part of the 20th century. Nearby is Matthias Church, one of the most riveting and important sites on Castle Hill. Here, the 15th century King Matthias wed Beatrice of Aragon. It was he who made Hungary the most powerful kingdom in Central Europe. King Matthias was also a great patron of science and the arts, bringing Italian Renaissance artists to Buda. Under the influence of this king and queen, Hungary experienced its golden age. While visiting their court, a papal envoy once proclaimed, "If there be an earthly paradise, then this is it." Just beside the church is this equestrian statue of St. Stephen, the nation's first Christian king, whose 38-year reign began in the year 1000. It was St. Stephen who broke Hungary's ties with Eastern Christianity. Instead, he chose the Church of Rome, thereby linking his nation's destiny with that of the West. Appropriately, the canonized king wears both a crown and a halo. The royal palace dominates the southern end of Castle Hill. Since the 13th century, Hungary's kings ruled from the various palaces and castles still on this site. Fine examples of neoclassical sculpture have survived at the royal residence. Under the Ottoman Empire, the palace fell into ruins, which in turn were destroyed in the Turkish siege of 1686. But like so many other structures in Budapest, it was destined to rise again. During the 18th and 19th centuries, it became a monument of neo-Baroque splendor and remains so today. It would be difficult to find another European country that's been more thoroughly ravaged and looted over the centuries. Yet, throughout its complex history, Hungary has miraculously managed to maintain a treasure trove of paintings, sculpture, and artifacts. And among its many virtues, Budapest is a city of magnificent museums. Only a few decades ago, part of the royal palace was redesigned to house several of Budapest's major museums. The Hungarian National Gallery in the center of the palace is an extensive exhibit of the masterworks of native painters from the Middle Ages to the present. Unquestionably, one of Hungary's greatest showplaces for the arts is the Museum of Fine Arts, a landmark on the Pest side of the Danube. Preserved in this neoclassical palace are great works by Italian Renaissance and Old World masters. Among the museum's most prized possessions are Raphael's Esterhazy Madonna, Goya's Girl with Water Jug. There's also Picasso's Mother and Child. The largest collection of El Grecos outside Spain is here, as well as a beautiful sampling of 19th and 20th century masters. The Archangel Gabriel towers 118 feet above the pomp and majesty of Heroes Square, just outside the museum. Here are the greatest heroes of 1,000 years of Hungarian history. These fierce equestrian warriors, known as the Magyars, swept down into the Hungarian plain in 896 AD and founded the Hungarian state. Just beyond is this semicircular colonnade, a pantheon of historical heroes beginning with Stephen I and encompassing a host of kings, princes, and generals. Almost as an extension of all this majesty is the Hungarian National Museum. Inside this august palace, the nation's entire legacy unfolds. The most popular and revered exhibit here is the royal regalia worn by St. Stephen. His 11th century coronation robes, the gilded orb, his Oriental-style scepter, and a 16th century replacement for his ceremonial sword. All this, along with the opulent royal crown, are cherished as symbols of Hungarian unity and as national treasures of the highest order. In 1978, they were returned to Budapest after spending more than 30 years in the United States as spoils of war. One of the first official acts of the newly elected Hungarian parliament was to replace the communist state emblem with the nation's traditional coat of arms. The only debate was over the inclusion of the crown of St. Stephen on the official state seal. St. Stephen won the day, and after the vote, which passed overwhelmingly, the legislators spontaneously began singing the Hungarian national anthem. When A World Away returns, we'll visit Hungary's Fountain of Youth on the Danube.